I think one of the biggest insights and kind of like aha moments that I had while reading this book was how much fear has been instilled in us since childhood, kind of coming back to that childhood conversation.
Sure.
And it's almost at this subconscious level where it
Yes.
is so ingrained in us that we don't even realize we are operating from a place of fear. It's just second nature. And so I think it really opened my eyes to things like, well, one of the reasons it was so controversial was the criticism on the church and the schooling. And I was a teacher
Yes, you
myself,
were.
and I was shocked to think about, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about all this fear we're instilling in our kids. We're limiting them from being creative thinkers and thinking on their own. And in the church, we teach them to fear, or we others teach to fear God, or not, sorry, not fear God, fear the devil, or fear displeasing God. And so I think it really kind of gives us this fear of failure and doing the wrong thing. And
Mm.
it teaches us to be a little bit more conservative in our thinking. And so it really opened my eyes to how much this has just been a pattern in our lives, and how we can make the shift. We can make the mindset shift and operate from a place of faith versus fear.
Fantastic point. Faith versus fear. And I think, this isn't necessarily from a traditionally religious context.
Right.
I look at this from a sense of personal growth. I look at this from a sense of professional growth. I even think about personally how my own relationship with God has transformed over time, because growing up in a Protestant home, I was very fearful. And maybe that was my fear of death, was the fear of hell, and that fire and that brimstone growing up, in the South, Southern Baptist, Protestant. If you know, you know. But that will impact you going forward. And I've done a lot of work and reflection over the years, as an individual, even as a spouse, as a father, as an entrepreneur, working with other entrepreneurs who've walked a very similar journey as my own. And we begin to transform those self-limiting beliefs into future growth opportunities, but it only happens if we're mindful and if we're aware. And back to your point, the challenge is that a lot of the fear that holds us back is at a subconscious level, so we just lack the awareness. And this is one of the reasons I greatly appreciate the opportunity to coach financial brand leaders, because it's just simply helping to surface some of the things that they might not be consciously aware of. And I've written about what I call the four fears that hold financial brands back from maximizing their future growth potential. It's fear of the unknown. It's fear of change. You just mentioned this one. It's fear of failure, which is, I would say, very closely related to something that you were talking about when reflecting on your childhood, the fear of rejection.
Yeah. Yep.
And then to open my thoughts, it's fear of success as well, which, to be quite honest with you and just kind of just the world, I would say that's probably the one that I struggle with the most. And I don't know why. I'm still trying to figure that one out, but I do know it's a self-limiting belief that holds me back from doing certain things but I choose not to let it hold me back. I just got to figure out how to transform that fear into fuel for future growth, because oftentimes fear is nothing more than just false evidence appearing real. And they're just nightmares we create in our own minds from past experiences that we are reliving in the context of the present moment, or we're thinking about a future experience that we have not lived yet, but it is being informed by either the past or the present. And let's come back to what you were sharing. This is all about making a conscious decision. Are we going to build a foundation of future growth on fear, or are we going to build a foundation of future growth on faith?